Hey guys, it's Kimora, and today we'll be doing another podcast about handling with care. Today we are with,
Sterling Adkins Dutro. I'm a senior at Peoria High. And then we have our special guest with us. We'll let her
yes,
introduce herself.
I'm Gayle Howell. I'm a school social worker at Mark Bill's, and I assist at some other schools
Very nice to
nice.
meet you. Thank you for being on here with us.
What motivates you to go above and beyond for your students?
because I actually love my students and I really have a true desire to help them be their best and to overcome whatever obstacles they might have.
What prompted you to get into your career field and be that support system for students? Was there someone that you had in your life?
Well, the first person who was very supportive of me was my mom. She was always the kind of mom who told me I could do whatever I wanted to do and be whatever I wanted to be. And she fully believed that that was true. And I also had Miss Tolan, my high school math teacher, who was also very encouraging. I remember my Spanish teacher also from high school, Mrs. Green. She was also very good at answering my questions because we didn't have, like I said, we didn't have a counselor. And I asked her what, later seemed like a very silly question, but I asked her, I'm like, why am I me? Like, how did I get to be like this? And she was able to talk with me, and it was just very helpful. I went to a really tiny high school a very long time ago, and we didn't have any social workers or counselors. Honestly, I didn't know anything about school social work till I was in my 30s. I was working at Tessel Mason Special Ed, and that's when I first got to know more about their job, what they were doing. I kept thinking, I would really like to do that.
Can you recall a time when you provided support to a student?
I work with quite a few students. I have some that I meet with individually on a regular basis. And then there are some students who just, when they need to. I do try to help them with whatever their issue is. Sometimes they just need a quiet place to take a break. Sometimes they need some advice. Sometimes they need someone to intervene for them or kind of mediate between them and a peer or them and a teacher.
What do you think the most important quality for someone in your position or any other support staff to have when supporting students?
I think it's really good to be humble. You also need to be honest, which you have to be careful what you say, but I don't think it's ever good to not be honest with your students.
Exactly.
So just caring, humble, and honest probably be the more important things.
Yeah.
We've
And
had honesty a lot. I think that's crucial because, just telling them what they want to hear isn't really going to get them anywhere. It might make them feel better in the moment, but when you're more real about it and honest, they're going to recognize it later and really appreciate the fact that you were honest with them and told them what they needed to hear versus what they wanted to hear.
I know not every job is easy, but how do you avoid like the burnout of your job?
I have a lot of hobbies. Right now I'm finishing some more master's classes, so I don't have a lot of free time, but I do enjoy camping, kayaking, gardening, quilting, those kinds of things, playing with my grandkids. I have a lot of things outside of school that really are very relaxing.
That's pretty cool. What advice would you give to other staff who want to help students?
I would say be aware of those who might show signs that they are struggling, maybe emotionally. If a student has kind of shut down or tuned out or seems to be out of character for them, maybe like super silent when they're usually very talkative, just to be alert to those things and to not hesitate to ask the student individually, of course, is there something I can do to help you?
What is the best thing, in your personal opinion, do you think that administrators can do to support teachers and staff to ensure that they're giving the best support to other students?
I'm very fortunate. We have a great principal over at Mark Bill's. Mr. Ash is very good about making sure that I have a place to meet with students. He's really good about checking in with me and finding out what I need. If I have a student in crisis and have other appointments that were already scheduled, or find someone to notify the others of changes. He's good, too, about referring students that he's concerns about. He's very supportive if I need to, contact an outside agency or someone to try to intervene.
I think having your own office is important so that they have their closed space to be able to vent to you without having to worry about anybody else hearing it and stuff.
Yes.
So
It's really crucial.
So from your perspective, how have times changed from when you received support as a child versus the support you're giving to students?
Well, it's been a really long time since I was in grade school and high school, and I will say we talked about mental health. There were no assessments to determine the status of a student's mental health. Now there is a much greater awareness, and there are efforts to try to determine which students might need help, including things like panorama surveys. There's a greater awareness now and a bigger emphasis that it's seen as something that's really important.
I'm glad it's being seen versus where it wasn't as like acknowledged or thought about.
So how do you work with the students and their families?
As a school social worker, part of my job includes contacting families to get consent for special education evaluations and reevaluations. I always try, if at all possible, to meet with the parents in person, try to make that convenient for them. I do sometimes make home visits if they don't have transportation or otherwise not able to come to the school. While I'm asking questions about, the evaluation and consent and what the student needs, I do also try to find out from the families what they need. A lot of times I'm able to find assistance for them. I made a lot of referrals to the Wraparound Center. They're very good about being able to meet the needs of our families. I also will make referrals to the PPS Foundation, which provides financial assistance for our families. And in the month of December, I sent notes home with about 40 students whom I was pretty sure had families who were in need of financial assistance, and gave the parents an opportunity to contact me. And I ended up being able to obtain assistance for 28 of our families to the tune of $24,000 from the foundation. Some of them were help with utility bills or rent. Mm-hmm. Some of them just needed coats and boots and clothes and things like that. So I try to make sure that I'm aware of what our community resources are and give the parents the information they need or help them with the referral process.
I'm actually very familiar with the Wraparound Center. I go there Wednesdays through Fridays because I have an internship with Yolanda Riley. I know that they're very aware of how kids in poverty tend to have a lot more of the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences. And so they really touch deep on providing support to the families, the kids, and making sure that they're able to have that support.
Shows that most teachers really do show support for their students.
Anything else anyone wants to add?
No, but thank you very much.
No, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening to the Handle with Care podcast. We hope this episode gave you a better understanding of what students and staff may be going through and ways to support them. Remember, you never know what the person next to you is going through. If this episode resonated with you and you need resources but are not quite sure where to find them, they are located on the same page as the podcast.